Hi guys, so I just want to go through your guys' study guide with you since cohort 2 you guys are at home during this time. So your definitions should be fairly basic. Okay, so like your cylinder was A because it had two circular bases with a curved side. Cone was D because it's a solid with a circular base and a curved side that tapers to a point. Your pyramids are the base is a polygon and the sides are triangular faces that meet at the apex. Rectangular prism was C, where all sides are rectangles and meet perpendicular. And then your sphere was the solid where every point is equidistant from the center. Okay, so hopefully those are pretty self-explanatory. Next one is your vertical and horizontal cuts. So remember, you got to think of the face of what you're cutting. So if you're cutting horizontally, you need to think of what is the face at the bottom of the figure. And then if you're cutting vertically, you're trying to figure out what are the faces on the sides, and that's what it should be when you cut them. Okay, so if you cut a sphere vertically, you would get a circle. If you cut a square pyramid vertically, so think about your sides on a square pyramid, they are triangles, so when you cut it, you should get a triangle. Vertical cut of a cylinder, so you have your curved sides, which would end up being rectangles. I guess just one rectangle. Horizontal cut of a square pyramid, well, horizontally you just want to think of what the base is, so in this case it would be a square. And then horizontal cut of a cylinder, so your bases on a cylinder are circles. Okay, so again, just think of the faces. Horizontal cut, you need to think of the bases, and then vertical cut, you need to think of what the sides would be. Okay. Alright, complete the table by placing a check in the appropriate box for each figure. So when you have a rectangular pyramid, you do have a rectangular bottom, so face, and then your sides are triangular faces, and then there's no circular faces. Triangular pyramid, you only have triangular faces. Sphere technically has no faces. Okay, so if they did want you to check one off, you may have to check off that circular face, but technically the sphere has no faces. The cone only has a circular face, which is the bottom, the base. A right rectangular prism only has rectangular faces. And then a square pyramid does have a rectangular face and a triangular face, because we do classify squares as rectangles. Alright, next, complete the table by filling in the correct number of edges and vertices. So remember, edges are where two faces meet. And then vertices are where three edges meet. So your vertices are pretty much like your corners. Okay. So, on a rectangular pyramid, you have 8 edges and 5 vertices. On a triangular pyramid, you have 6 edges and 4 vertices. Sphere and cone have no edges or vertices. The right rectangular prism has 12 edges and 8 vertices. And then the square pyramid has 8 edges and 5 vertices. So if you guys have a hard time memorizing those, just try to think of like the figure. You can even like draw it. So if I have like a square pyramid and I was trying to figure out like the number of edges, you can kind of use your picture to help you. So your edges would be the 4, oh sorry you guys can't see that, would be the 4 sides of your square pyramid at the bottom, as well as your 4 lines that make up the pyramid. So that's why there's 8 edges, and then your vertices would be the 4 corners on the base plus the apex at the top. Okay, so sometimes maybe drawing them can help you, or just visualizing what the object looks like could help you as well. but you guys will have to know those for your test, okay? All right, and then next page, you guys need to find the volume of each of the solids, and they do want you to use 3.14 for pi. So our first figure is a rectangular prism, and the volume formula of a rectangular prism is length times width times height. So all that we would have to do is take 17 times 11 times 12, and we would get a volume of 2,244 centimeters cubed. So I'm going through this kind of fast because you guys should already have this done, and then this is just a video for additional help if you need help on a question that you got wrong, okay? All right, next one. So this is a square pyramid, and our square pyramid formula is this 1/3 s squared h. So S is talking about our sides, so our sides are 18, and then the height of the pyramid is 16. So when you solve this, take 18 squared times 16 and divide it by 3, or multiply it times 1/3, and we get 1,728 cubic feet. All right. Next one, number 15, we have a cone. So our cone formula is volume equals 1/3 pi r squared h. So they do want you to plug in 3.14 for pi. And radius, so 16 is talking about the diameter, so we need to cut it in half to get our radius, which would be 8. And then our height is 17. And then we can go ahead and solve it. So if you were to take 8 squared times 17 times 3.14 and take that divided by 3 or times 1/3, you would get 1,138.77 cubic centimeters, because it does tell you to round to the nearest hundredth. All right, and then the last one, they want us to find surface area and volume of the sphere. So our surface area formula is 4 pi r squared. So substitute 3.14 in, our radius is 10. So if I were to solve that, our surface area is 1,256 squared centimeters. Because don't forget, area is squared and volume is cubed. And then our volume formula is 4/3 pi r cubed. So same thing, just plug in 3.14 for pi and plug in your radius of 10 for r. And then solve it, and you should get 4,186.6 repeating, but since they want you to round it to the nearest hundredth, you'll round it to 0.67. And that would be cubic centimeters. All right, back side is our application problem. So this says Amanda builds a sandcastle using 2 plastic molds. One of the molds is the shape of a cone with a height of 5 inches and a diameter of 6. The other mold is the shape of a square pyramid with a height of 6 and a side measurement for the base of 3.2. What is the difference of the volumes of the 2 molds? So the very first thing that we're going to have to do is we are going to have to find the volume of the cone and of the square pyramid. So our cone volume formula is 1/3 pi r squared h. They did tell us to use 3.14 for pi. The radius, they tell us that the diameter is 6, so we need to cut that in half to get the radius of 3. And then the cone had a height of 5. So once again, just make sure you're following PEMDAS rules. So you need to take 3 squared first, then take that times 5 times 3.14, and then you can take it times the 1/3 or divide it by 3. And when you do that, you should get 47.1. Then we need to find the volume of the square pyramid. So our volume formula is 1/3 S squared H. And we can go ahead and start substituting our numbers in. So they told us that the height is 6 and the side measurements are 3.2. And if I were to find the volume of that square pyramid, I would get 20.48. And then the question's asking what's the difference. Well, difference means that I am subtracting. So I need to take the cone volume of 47.1 and subtract it from the square pyramid volume, and we would get an answer of 26.62 cubic inches. All right, next one. Peter is creating a scale model of the Earth for science class. How much paper will he need to cover a ball that has a diameter of 24 centimeters? So they don't tell you to find volume or surface area. You need to figure out which one we're talking about. And since it says we are trying to cover the ball in paper, that's talking about the outside of the figure, which means we are trying to find surface area of the sphere. So our surface area formula is 4 pi r squared. And we can go ahead and start filling in our numbers. So pi is 3.14. They told us the diameter is 24, so we need to cut that in half to get a radius of 12. And then if I were to solve that, I get 1,808.64 squared centimeters. All right, next one. Miguel is filling his spherical shaped fishbowl with water. The fishbowl has a radius of 10 inches. If he is only supposed to fill the bowl 2/3 of the way to the top, how much water will Miguel need to use? So now this time we are still talking about a sphere, and we're talking about how much water will go on the inside. So since we're talking about the inside, this is now dealing with volume. So our volume formula of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. So once again, just start substituting your numbers in. So pi is 3.14. They told us that it had a radius of 10. So if I were to solve this, we have 10 cubed times 3.14 times 4/3, and we get an answer of 4,186 they do want us to round to the nearest hundredth, so that 0.6 repeating will turn into 0.67. Then that's not our answer because they only want us to fill the fishbowl 2/3 of the way to the top. This number right here is if we fill it all the way to the top. So our last step, if we only want it 2/3 of the way full, is to take the volume of the entire sphere, times it by that 2/3, and that will tell us how much water we will be putting in the fishbowl. So 4,186.67 times 2/3, and rounding it to the nearest hundredth, we get 2,791.11, and we're talking about inches, so cubic inches. Alright guys, and then the last one, a swimming pool is shaped like a rectangular prism. The pool is 12 feet long, 7 feet wide, and 6 feet deep. Chlorinated water must be used in the pool. A pool company charges $30 for every 21 cubic feet of chlorinated water. How much will it cost to fill the pool with chlorinated water? Okay. So since, once again, we're talking about filling in the pool with water, so we're talking about volume, and they tell us that our shape is a rectangular prism. So our volume formula is length times width times height. They told us that it's 12 feet long, 7 feet wide, and 6 feet deep. So those are the numbers that I'll be plugging into my formula. And if I were to find that volume, it would be 12 times 7 times 6 is 504. Okay. Now, they want to know how much is it going to cost. Well, they're saying that the pool company charges $30 for every 21 cubic feet. So that means for the first 21 cubic feet is $30. For 42 cubic feet is $60. So first thing that we need to do is figure out how many cubic feet are in this 504, or sorry, how many 21 cubic feet are in this 504. So the first thing that we need to do is take that 504 and divide it by 21 to figure out how many 21 cubic feet are in 504. So if we take 504 divided by 21, we get 24. So there's 24 of the 21 cubic feet that goes into this 504 pool for its volume, okay? So if the pool company charges $30 for every 21 cubic feet, our last thing that we need to do is take that $30 times it by the 24, and we get a total of $720. All right, so if you guys have any more questions, just let me know. Hopefully this clarified some stuff if you needed help with it. But your guys' test will be tomorrow, so just let me know if you guys have any questions.